Hey, Robert here from Meshmasters. So today I want to show you the process we go through when we talk with new potential clients and eventually how we onboard them and how we align to each other so we can initiate that collaboration together to get to a final result. So a final art direction or a production plan and what it means to produce the art they need. And this discovery or aligning phase is quite important because there's a lot of nuances in a collaboration, obviously. So figuring that out is what I want to show you how we do that in this video. So let me share you my screen. We're currently in Miro.com. It's our reference board tool or board tool where you can work together on a tool, kind of similar to like Google Docs, where you can work together in a same Word document. And in here, in this board, we've built this step-by-step process going from the top to the bottom, where eventually we end up with the art guidelines. But before we get there, we first go through a discovery phase where we're really trying to discover what the vision is and the needs are of the client. But that also means helping them figuring it out for themselves, followed by a visioning phase where we do things like references and mood boards and early concept pieces, followed then by a concepting phase, and eventually building the art guidelines. So let me quickly go through it from the top to the bottom. The top is really just a more like a branding play. So we add the project logo, our logo, their logo, eventually key art or a visual banner. We don't have that in the beginning, but once we have it, we'll add it to the top and a short description of the project. Then a part about what will the collaboration be. So how do we work? What I would like to get from them and what we will do for them. So, for example, will we do concepting? Will we do modeling? Will we do particles, early look development, etc.? So this is kind of like the first initial step where we will define what we'll be doing together. The discovery phase, as I mentioned earlier, this is the real first step in that collaboration where on an iterative phase of a couple of weeks or maybe like 2 weeks, we do multiple calls together where I am mostly trying to sort of pick their brain, ask questions to get and understand where they currently are and what direction they are taking. So, for example, in the rough direction, describe the art style and direction. So maybe they already know, like, we want like a dark, gritty type of world, or maybe a very fresh pastel-ish type of world. Maybe they already have references of other games or movies. Maybe they already know their target audience, or maybe they have keywords like is it a friendly world or game or mood or attractive, aggressive, cute, etc. And we keep going through that with colors and values, shapes and composition, rendering and shading, and of course also technical details like poly counts, etc. Now, the thing to understand with the discovery phase is that initially, maybe only 25% of it will be filled in. So whenever I go into this talk or this first call with the client, I always say, we don't need all the answers right now. This is more about putting down some first words, and then eventually, while we go through the other steps, the discovery section will become more fleshed out. And that's what I meant earlier with this document or board is also a way to hold the hand of the client to help them figure out where they want to get to. So initially, it's maybe only like 25%. And from that, I or we go into a sort of fleshing out visioning phase where we take what we know and then we start looking at references. So what are positive references, which could be games, images, music, movies, posters, you name it. Could be anything. but also negative references. So references that seem very close, but they're actually not the direction we want to go into. From there, we could make mood boards already. So what is the mood? And from there, we go back into to the table to have another talk with the client. And we go back and ask them, okay, this is what we currently have. What do you think? Or maybe we've built like 3 different directions. What do you think? What do you feel is best? And through that, we go back to the discovery phase, fill in more information. And this is a sort of back and forth iteration process where we keep fleshing it out. The discovery section becomes more filled in, and eventually we get to a point where we're getting close to the final direction, where from there we can do early sketching or thumbnailing to kind of put in some more work ourselves to again flesh the direction out as far as we can. And here again, it's iterative. So we go back again, fill in the discovery section a bit more, and we go back and forth until we're quite happy that we're like 90% sure we're in the good direction. And then we go into the concepting phase where we start doing more fleshed out work. So illustrations or fleshing out ideas to the point where we're getting to a like 100% confirmed this is the direction. And from there we do, which is quite an important step for us, the 3D vertical slice, which is a small diorama in Engine. So if they're going to use Unity, we build it in Unity. And we build a small diorama that really showcases the final quality and look of the game. So in that sense, it's kind of like a show of proof in 3D in Engine. And that's the first time where once the client is happy with that diorama, we kind of put a stamp on it is this is the direction and we're not going to shift away of it anymore. So that's a key moment in the collaborative process. From there, we could add, if this is part of our agreement, key art, logos, design elements, and lettering. So we can start adding that here and designing it. And at this point, we're pretty close to stepping into production. So it's time to make the art guidelines. Again, starting with a visual guide, which is in a sense the copy of the discovery section, but then fleshed out, cleaned up, and made ready for artists to use in production. So again, coloring, shape language, the overall shading and material methods, etc. With again, key examples. So key 3D examples usually pulled out of that 3D diorama. Good and bad examples. So when you're building a model, how should a shape look like with a good example and a bad example. Tools and software. So obviously, what tools are we going to use? What pipeline methods and workflows are we going to use? How do we build the meshes and the UVs and the textures, the rigging and animation, with also QA checks. So when you as an artist are building your assets, there will be phases where you have to do a QA check yourself. And how do you do that? From there, how do you export it out of your tools into the engine with, again, another QA check, with a final review it yourself check, with a lot of like artistic things to check, but also technical things to check. And from there, Favreau and management steps. So once it's done, how do you send it over to, say, me, the art director? So we use Favreau for our project management. What do you do in Favreau to mark it as done? Send it to me. And what happens when I get it? And then I might send it back to you, or it's seen as confirmed and done. So that's quickly going through this whole board and how we onboard clients. It's definitely a major important step for us, and so I hope you too can take some lessons out of it and use it too in your own, let's say, freelancing or maybe in your own studio job. So if you have any thoughts about this or you want to learn more, make sure you reach out or add comments. Check out our website on how to reach us out, and I would love to share more about it.